All right. Can y'all hear me now? All right. Hopefully y'all can hear me now. Can someone just text Frankie and give him the thumbs up? All right, so let's start over. It is Monday, and you cannot be negative and be grateful at the same time, right? We learned that this weekend. So what I was saying when you all couldn't hear me is what a wonderful weekend it was. So great to finally get back together again. Last year, we were all spread out over various cities. I know some of us got to be together, but it was so great to finally all come together and be together. Get to meet new people, meet people we've been on the phone with so many times, but we've never gotten to see their beautiful faces. FFL Corporate just did an amazing job putting together the entire event. It was, we got to hear from so many great speakers, so many great leaders who are just killing it. I mean, I took pages and pages and pages of notes. If you're in our Slack, you kind of got to see some of the stuff that I was taking notes on. But guys, you have to be a student of this business every single day. People like a couple questions that Frank and I received, like, as you know, what's next and things like that. Now that you got your integrity on, I'm like, what's next? I'm out here learning. Like we have dreams and desires to still serve people. Like this integrity deal doesn't stop serving. It's that our gift is to help people in this business. So it doesn't stop. And so, it was such an amazing event. Hopefully all of you were able to get at least 3 things that you could implement straight away, or maybe you just needed your battery charged. But I know here with Family First Life National that there's room for improvement for everyone, including Frank and myself. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about some things that maybe hit home for us, and that, that we want to implement, and just some things that maybe you all can kind of take away and maybe think of perspective wise as well. And even if you weren't there. So we do this every single year, guys. And so put it on your calendar. Like some people missed it, and I'm so upset for you that you missed it because you didn't plan accordingly. Or some people miss it because they thought they needed to like stay home and sell. Like it costs you money when you don't attend. Even if you were here selling, it still costs you money. And so we want to make sure that you don't miss it next year. And so I don't have the exact date, but it's always usually the second or third week or Thursday through Saturday in February. So put it on the calendar. It cannot be missed. We will be having some localized meetings, but there's just something to be said about people who are pouring in from different groups, different areas of the country, and everybody kind of coming together. So you do not want to miss this next year. Make sure you plan accordingly. I mean, some people I met were there on their last dollar. Like, you're like, oh, I needed to make some more sales. You have no idea what, and I just firmly believe that even those people who are there on their last dollar, they're gonna probably blow past the people that couldn't make it. And so you just have to make sure that you're intentional about your schedule and intentional about making sure that you're there next year, because you do not want to miss it. So a couple things. Hopefully, if you were there, I always say, like, for all of the years that we have gone to these different conferences, on the way home, I kind of used that time in the plane or back in the day we drove, just depending upon where it was located. But use that time. And maybe even, once you're done your dials today, because obviously today's a dial day, but take some time out to write down a few things. And I usually always do like 3 that you want to implement right away. Things that you heard that you want to make sure that you are going to implement straight away. And your 3 things are going to be different than my 3 things, right? Or than anybody else's 3 things. But write down 3 things that you want to implement right away, and then come up with a game plan with your manager or Frank or Mike or Josh or myself with how it is that you are going to accomplish that. Because what got you where you are right now is not what's going to get you to the next level. You're going to need some mentorship, some people to come alongside of you to help you navigate those waters, because you haven't been in those waters yet. And so you can't think that you're going to get to the next level by staying with the same mindset and the same activity and the same schedule and the same things that got you to where you are right now. It's just not going to happen. Like, for instance, I'm in here by myself right now because Frank stayed in Florida and he's going to be traveling around with Sean for the rest of the week. See, what got us here right now isn't what's going to get us to the next level. So we have to reach up to people who are at that next level so that way they can help us and mentor us and train us and get our minds right and get us fixated on the things that are going to get us to the next level. So come up with your 3, but then take it one step further and get with your manager and they can help you make sure that you're implementing the things that it's going to take in order to get to those next levels. See, there's already some people who were on my calendar first thing today. First thing. They were the first people on my calendar. There's people who are here in the office like, I need to come up with a game plan. See, you can't just have goals and things that you want to achieve and just talk about it and not have a game plan in order to implement. If you don't have a plan, you are going to be in the same position you were in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months from now. So you have to come up with a game plan in order to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So a couple takeaways that I want to kind of talk about this morning. The first one is that when you are trying to achieve these different goals, you have to be consistent in the small things. See, consistency in the small things will allow you to have the bigger things. What does that look like in our business? Well, consistency in the small things, making sure you have your leads when the dial session begins. That usually means you need to get your leads the night before. See, stay consistent in getting your leads the night before because then come dial morning, you're ready to rip. Another one, in being consistent in the small things. Consistent in the small things might look like being on livesalesdials.com at 7:30 like everybody else. Stay consistent see, it's a very small thing, but the small things are what make the big thing. So be consistent. Consistently getting on at 7:30. Consistently getting on with the team at 7:30. Keeping yourself unmuted so other people can hear you, learn from you. Or I just heard a young lady, she got someone on the phone and Kali was able to jump in and coach her. See, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to become a little bit vulnerable because, again, what got you to where you are right now is not going to get you to the next level. So you have to become a little bit vulnerable and allow people to reach in and help you. Okay? So stay consistent in the small things. Are you going through the entire client worksheet and making sure that you are asking what do they have that acts like life insurance? See, it's just consistency in the small things. If you've never written an annuity, if you're not asking that question, then you're probably going to go through this year not writing any annuities too. Because that's what allows us to find out if they have some funds that we can help protect. See, so stay consistent in the small things. Before your dial session, are you doing positive affirmations? Are you getting your mind right? Ronnie did a podcast while we were there. Hall of Fame producer and still gets to the office at 6:45 because he takes 30 minutes to get his mind right before he picks up the phone. He has his leads in a specific stacking order. He listens to some pump up music and he starts saying a script out loud so he makes sure he is ready to go. He's a Hall of Fame producer. Do you think he needs to do that at this stage of the game? No, he probably doesn't. But he is consistent in the small things because the small things create the big things. So maybe you write down 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you want to remain consistent in. So that way your bank account stays consistent too. I was texting with somebody this morning as well, and it just came to mind. He said, I've never done 20 appointments a week. Well, it's just a matter of consistently getting enough leads to make that happen and make sure you have enough phone time. Anybody can set 40 appointments a week. The reason you're not setting 40 appointments a week right now is, 1, you don't have enough leads, and 2, you don't have enough dial time. That's it. That's all. And if you're bad on the phone, then you're not around people who are good on the phone, or you haven't gotten feedback and become vulnerable to making sure you get the help that you need. So it's just a matter of change. You can do it. Anybody can do it. But you just have to thoroughly understand what are the small things that you can become more consistent in. Because consistency, I promise you, will change your income immediately. Okay, another thing. Here's the thing. As we move through this year, every person that hears my voice right now is going to come up against adversity. It doesn't matter. Adversity can look different to everybody. It can be a family, something going on in the family. It can be putting you out for 2 weeks because you had COVID. It could be, something as extreme as what happened with Josh. Everybody is going to go through adversity. We all are going to go through adversity, but how are you going to move when adversity comes? See, you can't stand still and freeze like a deer in headlights when adversity comes, because we already know that it's going to come. It is. You're not getting out of this life without there being some valleys and peaks. But how are you going to enjoy the peaks if you didn't go through the valleys? If everything was just a walk in the park every single day, how really are you going to enjoy the things of life? If everything was just going to be so peachy keen, you would be so immune to goodness. But you have to kind of go through those valleys sometimes, so that way when you have the goodness, it actually feels like goodness and you can actually enjoy it. So you have to keep moving. You are going to face adversity. There are going to be chargebacks. There are going to be things that come up in your life that you are going to feel like freezing on. And immediately, as soon as that happens, you need to remember that we're talking about this right now. We need to keep it moving. We need to keep it moving. There's going to be things that happen. When Frank and I first got started in this business, my nephew got brain cancer. And he and his dad and his mom didn't live together. And they didn't have a means of living together at the same place. So Frank said, you know what? If my child had brain cancer, I would want to be with him nonstop, even if the parents weren't together. So they moved in our house. And so was it easy to sit here and watch this little baby that I basically had my whole life go through this situation? No. But we couldn't our bills still had to be paid. We still had things that we needed to accomplish. We couldn't just stand by. Were we there for them through that process? Yes, we were. He ended up passing away. And even in that whole situation, this thing went on for several weeks of like, we weren't sure, is this the time? Is this the time? We were there as much as we humanly possibly could, but it was a situation in our life that we had to deal with, but we still had to keep it moving. See, if you stop and just kind of pause and marinate on that stuff, it will mess with you. But if you kind of keep pushing through and be present when you have to be present and when stuff goes on, then you're going to probably get through it a lot easier. So don't stop. Adversity is going to come upon you, but you have to keep pushing. You have to keep moving. Surround yourself with people who will keep your mind right, who will keep you focused, who will keep you in the right direction. Okay? But you can still be present for the people that you need to be present for. You know, I was talking a little bit with Josh about, I'm like, love, this situation isn't ideal, right? Everybody kind of handles it a different way, but be present, be aware, but still keep moving. Like, things still have to go on, right? But make sure you reach out to the people who can support you in ways that you might need them to support you when you're faced with adversity. But you have to keep it moving, okay? This kind of resonated pretty much the whole weekend, I think, with most people who were at the event. And I think it was Austin Hatch. If you didn't hear about his story, go ahead and Google him and watch his story. Essentially, he was in 2 plane crashes in his life, and he survived both of them. The first plane crash was with his entire family, his dad, his mom, and his siblings, and everybody survived but him and his dad. And the second plane crash was him and his dad and his new mom, and his dad and his new mom passed away in the second crash, and he survived. He says that he's only had 2 bad days in his entire life. But the other thing that he said is you can't be positive and grateful at the same time. And I firmly believe that. If you are a lady in this group and you've spoken to me, I've talked to you about a gratitude journal probably. Because I firmly believe on the darkest days that I had starting this business and when we were really down and out financially, the only thing I hung on to most days were the things that I was actually grateful for. And sometimes they were things that sometimes they were things that myself right now, the 2022 Jaime would think about, and I'd be like, oh my God, I was actually grateful for that. But you know what? That's all I had. That's all I had. I had a great family. We were all healthy. We had a roof over our head. We had lights on. We had a warm shower. We might have been using dollar store shampoo, but I had more than a lot of people had. See, sometimes you just have to be grateful for the things that are right around you. And when you start your day with a gratitude journal or the things that you are grateful for, it's inevitable that you just move along your day with positivity. I was laughing. Josh was saying that his flight got messed up and I was like, well, and I just started listing all these things that we were positive that we were grateful for yesterday. Like, we have the funds to be able to get on a different flight. We have the funds to be able to pick up a rent-a-car and drive halfway across the state so we can take a flight on the next one. And then he said, and I said, and on the way there, you know that you get to be with the warmth and the sun and look at palm trees. And he said, yep, and going home to a snowstorm. I was like, now don't be going negative on me, because I don't want a snowstorm, right? But we have things that we can be grateful for every single day. And so sometimes that takes your mindset and just switches it just moves you right to a positivity. So that's how we have to move along our days. We have to operate with a sense of gratitude. And some days you might have to pull out that gratitude journal a couple times because you just want to go to Negativeville. Like, for instance, if you're having a bad dial day and people aren't picking up, well, yes, there are some tangible things that you can do, like calling the number 3 times in a row, dialing through it 3 times, right? There are tangible things that we can do. But we can also, the next person who's going to answer is going to pick up. They're going to allow me to serve their family. I love dialing. I can't wait. See, we can flip anything that our brain tries to take us negative to a positive. I mentor a couple other people via text message. They're in a different state through the month. And there's been several times where like, well, you know, that I'm like, you do realize you have an insurance license, right? Like, you know, you can take anything that you're thinking right now is absolutely terrible and just take the opposite of it and turn it into a positive. And then all of a sudden, what flows in is going to start flowing out. See, if you're constantly operating in the mentality of woe is me or everything is so bad, you're going to get more of that. Like, I firmly believe there's people that I know who say, oh, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Stop saying those things. Say, if it's going to happen to me positive, it's going to happen to me positive. Like, I am attracted to positivity. Everything that's good is going to come my way. So start operating in these places that you can start putting yourself in a position that is going to produce positive outcomes. That's what we're looking for. So in kind of conclusion here, guys, make sure you're writing down 3 things that you took away. If you didn't make it to the conference and you're hearing my voice right now, you can do the same thing. Take 3 things that you actually, listen, we're 1 full month into 2022. We've done 1 full month. See, everybody started this year with some goals and some dreams and some things that they want to accomplish. How did that look for you? Did the first month, did you accomplish anything that you set out to accomplish? If you didn't, you need to get with the person who hired you or the person who is where you want to be and ask for some support, ask for some help. But listen, let's not ask for support and ask for some help and not be willing to change. You have to be willing to change. Change is inevitable in order to get to the next level. You cannot stay where you are in order to and get different results. So please, if you are getting help from someone, if someone is mentoring you and coaching you, the biggest reward for them is to just show that you're trying to make the changes that they've actually asked of you. See, there's nothing more frustrating for them to take time out of their day to give you all of the things that you need in order to be successful and you not do anything with them. That is almost like a spit in the face. And there's so many people who have so much potential that if you just got a little bit more uncomfortable, stepped out on faith, and knew that it was going to work out, and knew you have an army of people who have your back every single week, I promise you, it will work out. So, operate with attitude of gratitude. Know that what got you here is not going to get you to the next level, so you need to ask for some help. but be willing to change and change quickly. And this year can be turned around for you like nobody else's business. So guys, thanks for joining us on the THL, and we'll see you next week.